The Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and Galaxy Tab S7 Plus are two very interesting tablets that directly compete with the Apple iPad Pro. Among its highlights are the S Pen, the Samsung DeX desktop mode, and an optional keyboard cover. With prices starting at $650, they are quite expensive though. Are they worth it? I'm Andrzej from mynexttablet.com, and that's what you will learn in this review. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm reviewing pretty much every tablet that gets released, all from Samsung, Apple, Microsoft, Lenovo, Huawei, and many others. Let's quickly take a look at their prices. The 11-inch Galaxy Tab S7 starts at $650, while you have to pay at least $850 for the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. I like that the S Pen is included at no extra charge, which is not the case with almost all competitors. For the keyboards, you've got to pay at least $200 extra, and if you want, you can pay more for more storage, LTE, and 5G. I'm starting this review with their displays because this usually is one of the highlights of premium Samsung devices, and that certainly is true for the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. Here we're getting a very pretty 12.4-inch Super AMOLED screen with a resolution of 2800 by 2752 pixels. With that resolution, text and icons look very sharp. This Super AMOLED display is the best screen you can get in a tablet right now. It has much deeper blacks than the iPad Pro, a great contrast and lots of saturation, and it's very bright. This time, Samsung also supports a refresh rate of 120Hz, which means that animations, supported games, and drawings with the pen look as smooth as on an iPad Pro. I think that's fantastic. These are the first Android tablets with a 120Hz panel. Yes, I'm saying these in plural because the Galaxy Tab S7 supports 120Hz too. And with 2560 by 1600 pixels on 11 inches, it's even a tiny bit sharper. But sadly, that's where the good similarities between the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus end. For whatever reason, Samsung decided to use an LCD screen instead of an AMOLED one for the Tab S7. That's super disappointing. Sure, it's a great LCD panel compared to other Android tablets, but compared to the S7 Plus, blacks look a bit washed out. By the way, there used to be a kind of jelly effect with Samsung's AMOLED screens in the past, like on the Galaxy Tab S5e. That is mostly fixed now, and I think the reason for that is the 120Hz refresh rate. You can watch Netflix with HD resolution on both devices, but the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus is the only one that supports HDR10+. So if you care about the screen and want to watch movies and TV shows, the S7 Plus will give you a better experience. Interestingly, that also is the case for sound quality. Both have 4 great speakers, but the S7 Plus sounds a bit fuller and has a deeper bass. A major highlight is the S Pen, and that stylus is and works the same on both tablets. It's an active, pressure-sensitive pen that can detect 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity. There's one button on its side, and you can attach it magnetically to the side of the tablet. The S Pen works without having to be charged, and in fact, you can use every S Pen Samsung makes. They are all interchangeable. But some features are specific to the Galaxy Tab S7 series, and that's why these pens have a battery. With the pens you can use wireless gestures, and for these they do need to be charged. For that you just place them on the back of the tablet. But again, for handwriting and drawings they don't need to be charged, so if you don't need those gestures you don't ever have to think about charging them. Using gestures you can quickly start a new note, always return to the home screen and scroll through the gallery. Most are not that useful, but I like that you can use the S Pen as a trigger for the camera, and the only feature that can be super useful for some is that it can act as a remote when giving a presentation in PowerPoint. That's nice. Most want to use the S Pen for handwritten notes, to annotate PDFs or to draw with, and this is where the stylus shines, and it did improve quite a bit compared to the Galaxy Tab S6. The pen reacts and draws super fast now, almost instantly. I guess the 120Hz display is another reason why it looks so instant. As usual, Samsung built in lots of software features for the stylus. The most important one is the Samsung Notes app. With it you can create notes, draw something, and even import and annotate PDFs now. That works great, and I think most won't have to install a third-party app for that. With the so-called air commands, you can quickly start a new node no matter which app you're using currently, and you can quickly take screenshots and annotate them. There's also a very handy translation feature and many more. Inside the keyboard and Samsung Notes, you can use handwriting recognition too. If drawing is your hobby or you even do it professionally, you can do that with Clip Studio, which is a pre-installed and very professional looking drawing app. NoteShelf is pre-installed too. That's another note-taking app that some like. So I have nothing bad to say about the S Pen at all. It's fantastic. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus both feature a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus SoC, which is pretty much the fastest chip you can get in an Android device at the moment. Depending on the versions, you can also get 6GB or 8GB of RAM, as well as a 128GB, 256 or 512GB internal storage. LTE and 5G are optional. In benchmarks like Geekbench 5 and 3D Mark, both tablets perform much better than the Galaxy Tab S6 from last year, and with that, better than every current Android tablet. But Apple's iPad Pro continues to be much faster, and that includes the older 2018 version. And no, that's not just in benchmarks. I rendered the same 9-minute 4K video in Adobe Premiere Rush on the Galaxy Tab S7 and iPad Pro, and even though Samsung tablet is much newer, it's much slower. On the Tab S7 Plus, Premiere Rush is not supported right now, but the results should be almost identical anyway. Well, they are still the fastest Android tablets out there, and that means you can play pretty much every game on them. Fortnite performs very well with the graphics set to Epic for instance, and the same goes for other games like PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty. I don't think that most games can actually use the 120Hz display right now, but some certainly can. Among them are games like Mortal Kombat, Grim Valor and Off the Road. They look and perform great. Everything else runs great too, of course. I worked a lot in the Samsung DeX desktop mode, and even with Microsoft Word, Chrome, YouTube, Samsung Notes and other apps open, both tablets are super smooth. They are very fast, and thanks to the big RAM, multitasking works great. I also edited 24 megapixel RAW files in Adobe Lightroom, and the performance is good. Samsung is shipping the Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus with the same software, which is Android 10 and One UI in version 2.5. That's the own interface from Samsung. This time, Samsung is promising to update its newest tablets for at least 3 years. So they should be updated to Android 11, 12 and even 13 in the future. I'm sure you're familiar with Android 10, all standard Android features work and are supported. Often Samsung even improved them a bit, and that's the case for the split screen view. You can also open apps in free floating windows on top of other apps, and there's a kind of dock that you can quickly pull out from the side to access apps or to do some multitasking. Sure, sometimes it's nice to use vanilla Android, but I like the interface from Samsung because it looks modern and performs very snappy. Next to the S Pen features, the second most important software feature that Samsung built in is Samsung DeX. That's a desktop mode that has been part of their premium devices for a while now. In the past I only used them for my reviews, but DeX has been improved a lot, and this time I used it a lot. And I want to use it, I don't have to force myself like I had to in the past. With Samsung DeX, Android gets transformed into a kind of desktop operating system with the desktop and a taskbar. It looks similar to the desktop of Microsoft Windows, and you can kind of work like on Windows. It makes no sense to use DeX with the touchscreen only, but it can be super useful if you're using the keyboard cover, maybe even an external monitor, or if you're just using another keyboard and mouse. Apps are opened in free floating windows, but you can make them full screen too. Or you have 4 open at the same time. And you can even open games like this. Often I have something running on YouTube in the background while working in Microsoft Word and Chrome, and Gmail is open too. To have YouTube continue to run in the background window, I think you've got to be a YouTube Premium subscriber. That's Google's fault though, and not Samsung's. Some workflows mostly work like on a desktop machine. To launch a new app, you can just hit the command key for instance and start to type the name of the app. I always do that in Windows 10 too. In Chrome, you can open a new tab by hitting Command plus T, just as you would on a desktop system. Sometimes you run into smaller issues though. In Chrome, for instance, if you open a new tab, you've got to click into the text field first to type in a link. On a normal desktop, you can just start to type immediately. And Chrome shows you the mobile version of websites, but you can force it to show you the desktop version just as you can on a phone. There are some other issues I encountered. The password manager LastPass does not work in Samsung DeX, for example. Nothing major, but there are some things that Samsung can improve. I think the design of the Galaxy Tab S series looks very modern. Samsung is using sharper edges now, just as we've seen on the iPad Pro. It's made of aluminum and is very premium feeling, just as you would expect from a high-end tablet. The larger one is a bit thinner with just 5.7mm compared to the 6.3 of the standard Tab S7. Samsung is offering versions in black, silver and bronze. As is common in pricier devices these days, a headphone jack is missing. But we do still get a microSD card slot, and the tablets have a USB-C 3.2 Gen 1 port. That means in addition to external SSDs and other accessories, you can also connect external monitors. The Galaxy Tab S7 Plus has a fingerprint scanner that is hidden underneath the screen, which looks very modern. On the standard Tab S7, on the other hand, that fingerprint scanner is built into the home button. Both work fast and seem very precise. On the front we get an 8-megapixel webcam, which is great for video chats and occasional selfies, and on the back there's a 30-megapixel main camera that takes great photos and videos. There's a 5-megapixel wide-angle camera as well, which is certainly nice to have, but due to the low resolution, photos don't look very detailed. If you want to work with your tablet while traveling or in cafes, you can get an official Samsung keyboard cover. The ones for the Tab S7 and S7 Plus are mostly the same, but the S7 Plus one is bigger and has an additional function row. I have the one for the S7 only. The keyboard cover consists of two parts. One part is a back cover that attaches magnetically to the back of the tablet. It features a kickstand that you can use without the keyboard, and there's protection for the S Pen too. The second part is the keyboard, which attaches magnetically as well. If you fold them together, the screen and back are protected and the corners are free to get scratches. Well, I think the keyboard itself is very good. The keys have a proper travel, and even the smaller Galaxy Tab S7 keyboard is big enough to type on comfortably. Like I always say of Microsoft's keyboards and the Apple Magic Keyboard, I think Samsung's too is a great compromise of comfort and portability. I do wish, however, that you can angle up the keyboard a bit. It's always sitting flat on the table. There's a touchpad sitting below the keyboard. It works fine, but is much smaller than on a laptop. So yes, I think if you're willing to spend around $200 on a keyboard, I think the official ones from Samsung are good. They did improve compared to the Galaxy Tab S6. But remember, when you're working at home at a desk or so, you can always connect almost every standard keyboard. When streaming HD videos on YouTube at maximum brightness, the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus lasts 7.5 hours and the Tab S7 lasts 8 hours, so the battery life is not outstanding but good. So let's get to the end of this Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus review. Should you get one of them? Well, you've seen it, both are the best Android tablets you can buy right now, with the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus being the better of the two, thanks to its amazing Super AMOLED screen. I think both tablets are a great choice if you're willing to spend a bit of money and want an Android tablet, the S Pen and Samsung DeX. I work a lot in cafes, and in the last couple of weeks I used the Galaxy Tab S7 instead of an iPad Pro. That's because for me 11 inches are best suited. Anyways, the point is that I didn't miss the iPad. Thanks to the good keyboard cover, Samsung DeX and the fast performance and a good screen, I never had the feeling of missing something from the iPad. That might change, however, when I'm traveling again and want to edit photos while being away from my laptop. On an iPad you can use Adobe Photoshop and alternatives like Affinity Photo. And as my video render test shows, even the 2-year-old iPad Pro from 2018 continues to be faster than the Galaxy Tab S7. Now, I know that most people don't want to edit videos with a tablet, but that doesn't matter. It just shows that the 2-year-old tablet is faster, which is an embarrassment for Samsung. I know if you're an Android fan like I am too, it can be annoying to always hear comparisons with Apple stuff, but that's part of a fair review. Pure performance is not everything, of course. The Galaxy Tab S7 and S7 Plus do have many unique features, like the AMOLED screen, Samsung DeX, the fantastic S Pen, and they're a bit cheaper. I will continue to use the Galaxy Tab S7 for at least a couple of more months to see how I will use it in the long run. But due to the bigger selection of tablet-optimized apps and better performance, I think for many the iPad Pro continues to be the better tablet. unless you specifically want Android, of course. As usual, let's check out some alternatives. If you want to save some money, you can check out the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. Now, its performance and screen are much weaker than the Galaxy Tab S7 and you can't get an official keyboard. But it comes with an S Pen 2 and the software features are almost the same, except for Samsung DeX, which is not supported. Prices start at just $350. For those of you that don't need the S Pen but want a great cheap tablet for watching movies, then you can check out the Samsung Galaxy Tab S5e. It has 4 speakers and a very pretty Super AMOLED screen. The performance is much weaker, but it does support Samsung DeX. The Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 continues to be an interesting tablet too, of course, but make sure that you're getting it at a good price. At the original price, I wouldn't get it anymore. Pricey alternatives are both the 11-inch and 12.9-inch Apple iPad Pro tablets that I mentioned a couple of times already. Here I like the much bigger selection of apps because you can even get very professional ones like Adobe Photoshop and Affinity Photo. Apple's competition is a bit pricier though, and a lot pricier if you factor in the Apple Pencil, which you've got to buy extra. But I still consider them to be the best pure tablets you can buy. Alright, that's it of my review of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. If you have any questions, write them down below. I'm Andrzej from mynexttablet.com. Thanks for watching and see you next time.